Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Suspect in court. The man charged with killing a Moore County woman in 2023 is due in court today.
And our temperatures feel like spring, but we're looking at rain starting tomorrow that could last into the weekend. I'll walk you through it.
Plus, a desperate search in a rugged part of California. 6 skiers are safe, but the search is underway for 9 others.
It has been nearly 3 years since Alicia Watts was found dead. Her friends and family have never stopped pushing for justice. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Chris Levingood. Thank you so much for joining us. James Dunmore is accused of killing Watts and leaving her remains 20 minutes away from her Moore County home. She was his girlfriend. And WRAL's Carly Haynes is live in front of the courthouse there. Carly, we're expecting a pretty big update today.
Well, first of all, this is the first time James Dunmore will be present in court in months. And our sources are telling us that it's possible he'll be entering a plea today. Dunmore has been in jail under $1 million bond for the past 2.5 years. He's been awaiting trial, and his case has been slow moving. This hearing has been continued month after month since late 2024. The last hearing was September of that year, when a judge denied a request by Dunmore's attorney to dismiss the case. Now, you might remember WRAL extensively covered Alicia Watts' disappearance. It drummed up statewide attention. Her body was eventually found in the woods behind a cemetery along a back road leading to her house, and her boyfriend at the time, James Dunmore, was subsequently arrested. Now, he could face life in prison without parole. The state has previously said they will not be pursuing the death penalty here in this case, and this appearance is expected to begin in just about 2 hours. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Montgomery County.
Today, we're expecting to get an update on flu cases in our state. The update comes as the FDA announces it has reversed course and will now review a new flu vaccine from Moderna. In a recent letter, the FDA said the company's application for review did not contain a well-controlled trial. Moderna is now seeking full approval for adults 50 to 64 years of age and accelerated approval for adults 65 and older. If the FDA approves this vaccine, it could be available for the 2026-27 flu season. Our next weather maker brings rain to our area starting tomorrow. Let's check in now with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner to see how many days in a row we could see rain. And Elizabeth, we need it.
We definitely do. And it could be as many as 4 days in a row, but not each of those days it's going to be terribly heavy. This high pressure system has helped to bring in lots of warm air. High pressure systems have winds that rotate clockwise. So this is pulling up warmth from the south. But look at all the cloud cover as this front approaches us. This front is going to take its time. It's been moving pretty quickly across the country, but it will stall over us over the weekend. And that means maybe a little better chance of some rain on Saturday. Well, widen out the view and take a look here. Look at this low pressure system that's back to the west. It's been producing a lot of snow across the Sierra and parts of the Rockies. So that will continue to travel eastward. And by tomorrow, we have a warm front that could be situated in our northern counties. I'm going to show you Futurecast in the high resolution model, and you can see it's very little rain. And same story again for Friday. We've 60% here on this map, but it's definitely looking like we're trending a little drier for Friday. But Saturday, as the system stalls over us, that's going to bring us potentially a better chance of some showers. So here's a look at Futurecast starting off tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Just like we're seeing now, there's a lot of cloud cover out there and could be a few light showers in our northern counties. During the afternoon, you can see just some scattered light rain that shows up as we continue to have this solid flow coming out of the south. So we'll talk about those chances tomorrow. It's really just a 30% chance. As our cold front gets a little closer to us on Friday, that chance goes up, and then some waves along the front keep some rain in the area Saturday and possibly even into early Sunday. Now, for most of the next 4 or 5 days, our temperatures are also nice and mild, but once this moves out, it will feel like winter returned. We'll take a look at that coming up.
Well, happening now here in the WRAL Live Center this noon, some pretty scary moments for people on a Delta flight heading to Georgia. This is a look at the scene where investigators say that officials say a Delta Airlines flight had to turn back due to a near cockpit breach. Houston police were called to the Hobby Airport this morning, and the FAA says the plane was heading to Atlanta when the crew reported a passenger disturbance. Apparently, this person tried to get to the cockpit. The agency didn't release any more details about what exactly exactly happened, or if the passenger was involved facing any charges. That's the information that we're working to learn as this plane was heading to Atlanta and again had to turn back to Houston.
Well, police are looking for whoever fired shots and hit 2 homes in northeast Raleigh. This happened on Streams of Fields Drive off Trayrick Road. Ali Kavdabar spent hours at that scene and heard from a woman whose house was hit.
Very scary moments here. A woman tells me that her kids and boyfriend were home when shots were fired. Now police are trying to figure out who did it after a lengthy investigation. Take a look at this video from the WRAL breaking news tracker. It shows more than 20 evidence markers in the grass across the street. We saw bullet holes in 2 houses. Vehicles were also hit. You can see a back windshield was shattered and a bullet hole in a car. The woman we spoke with says she was on the way home from work talking to her boyfriend when the gunfire started. Listen to this police radio traffic of what appears to be her report.
Complainant called in saying that a boyfriend was at this location with 3 kids inside the home and that there was a shooting.
We have reached out to Raleigh police with several questions in terms of how many people shot at the homes, as well as how many people were inside when it happened and what led up to this shooting. We are staying on top of this throughout the day. Reporting in Raleigh, Ali Kavdabar, WRAL News.
Today in Granville County, the sheriff's office is hosting a prayer vigil for the people involved in a shooting last month in Stovall. Tonight's vigil will honor the life of Ryan Ellington. People there will also be praying for the recovery of Julian Stovall. Back on January 9th, deputies responded to that shooting at the Family Dollar on US 15. Ellington died there at that scene, and Stovall faces an uphill battle in his recovery. 19-year-old Aiden Moss has been charged with first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder in that shooting. The vigil will be at the Corey's Used Tires on US 15 in Stovall at 6:30 p.m.
And here in the WRAL Live Center right now, the search for Nancy Guthrie is now at day 18. And you can see here people are beginning to place flowers outside of her home, yellow flowers to be specific, and all across Tucson. And in Studio 1A today, they're sending love as well to the Guthrie family because they were also placing flowers inside the studio and wearing yellow ribbons. We know that 400 investigators continue to work this case, where the Pima County Sheriff's Office says they're also running down thousands of tips and leads right now. So after DNA evidence found on gloves 2 miles from the home yielded no matches in an FBI database, investigators are now combing through her home and working on further testing DNA found there. Also, doorbell cam footage released last week, of course, showing that man at the front steps remains critical to the investigation. Officials say that they're now working with Walmart to track that person down based on the backpack he was wearing. We're staying on top of all of the new developments here in the Live Center.
We know you are, Laura. Thank you. Parents, educators, and education advocates say they are tired of waiting for a North Carolina Supreme Court decision on a landmark education lawsuit. It has been 2 years since the court last heard arguments in the Leandro case. That's the lawsuit filed by lower income counties in the mid-1990s, saying the state was not providing an adequate education. The case has never been resolved. Today, Durham parent Melissa Price Crum is frustrated with the court.
Who has sat on this case for the last 2 years. Do you know how much a child grows in 2 years?
Now, a few years ago, parties in the case agreed on a multi-billion-dollar plan that would drastically increase education spending and change a number of policies. The Democratic majority court ordered the plan to be funded more than 3 years ago. But a Republican majority is now rehearing that case. It has been asked by state legislative leadership to consider other concerns. Leandro is a case our WRAL documentary team has covered for years. You can watch the full documentary, Leandro, the case for a basic sound education. It's on WRAL.com and the WRAL YouTube channel.
In Cumberland County, Fayetteville State University received a large grant to help protect students. The university received more than $345,000 to detect PFAS, also known as forever chemicals. The funding will build up the university's research labs and support public health efforts to improve water quality in the area. Another measles case was reported in our state. That is now a total of 22 cases. So here's how the numbers have progressed over time. Just before Christmas, we saw our first measles case of 2025. Then by January, we saw 16 more cases. The spike has slowed some with just 4 cases so far this month. And 2 of these are in our area, one in Johnston County and one in Ashe County. There have also been exposure warnings issued in Wake County and other places too.
Today marks Ash Wednesday and the start of Lent. Millions of Christians around the world will spend the day fasting, praying, and reflecting. Christ the King Lutheran Church in Cary organized a drive-through event where people can have the sign of the cross marked on their forehead with ashes.
We spread ashes on people's foreheads or hands in the shape of a cross to symbolize that we are perfectly imperfect, and we say the words, "Remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return."
Christ the King Lutheran Church will host 2 worship services tonight at 6:30.
Next at noon, the war drags on. How the most recent peace talks between Ukraine and Russia went as the 4-year anniversary of their conflict approaches.
Winging it in court. Why a customer's attempt at suing Buffalo Wild Wings did not go in their favor.
Plus, suspect charges U.S. Capitol. The danger investigators say he posed, including the weapon he had.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000. Sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
Next week marks 4 years since Russia began its war with Ukraine. And today, the latest round of peace talks wrapped up in Switzerland with no sign of a breakthrough. This was the 3rd round of direct talks the United States organized. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky described the military discussions in Geneva as constructive. However, he said Ukraine will not surrender land to Russia. President Trump's family business filed trademarks for the president's name on airports ahead of the Palm Beach airport renaming. The trademark also seeks exclusive rights to related airport branding. That includes shuttle buses and airport merchandise. The Trump organization says it will not charge licensing fees. Instead, the trademarks are intended to protect against, quote, bad actors from infringing on the trademark.
Billionaire retail magnate Les Wexner is expected to give a closed-door congressional deposition today about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Wexner is the founder of L Brands, which owns Victoria's Secret and Bath & Body Works. Wexner gave Epstein power of attorney in 1991 to develop the Wexner estate. His name appears in the Epstein files more than 1,000 times. Virginia Giuffre claimed that Epstein trafficked her to Wexner and other men. However, Wexner denies knowledge of or involvement in the sexual predator's crimes. Meanwhile, the billionaire heir of the Hyatt Hotel's fortune is stepping down over ties to Epstein. The latest release of the Epstein files showed Thomas Pritzker kept regular contact with Epstein in the years after his 2008 plea deal on sex crime charges. In a letter to Hyatt's board, Pritzker says he was exiting effective immediately in an effort to show, quote, good stewardship.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, the person behind the Raleigh mass shooting is now in prison. This is the official mugshot for Austin Thompson, who was booked into Central Prison in Raleigh. He was sentenced to 5 life sentences last week without the possibility of parole. We know that this comes as Thompson was 15 when he killed his brother and 4 other people in Raleigh's Hedingham community. There's often a waiting period between when a trial happens and when someone is booked into prison. So, of course, here we are now following the latest development with this chapter closed as many of these families are still mourning their loved ones.
Goldman Sachs is removing DEI criteria for future board appointments. Race, sexual orientation, and other DEI factors will not be taken into account anymore. This is about when the board's governance committee identifies potential new directors. Goldman's current board is expected to approve the changes this month. Meanwhile, Microsoft plans to invest $50 billion by the end of the decade to help bring AI to lower-income countries. That announcement came today at the AI Impact Summit in New Delhi. Leading tech executives, government leaders, and AI researchers are debating how to use AI to solve real-world problems. Only about 36% of Africa's population had broadband internet access in 2022, compared to 90% of U.S. households.
An incredible search and rescue mission is playing out following a massive avalanche. This happened in a remote, rugged area of the Sierra Nevada, about 25 miles northwest of Lake Tahoe. Rescue teams were able to reach and save 6 skiers thanks to avalanche beacons and SOS signals sent from their cell phones. 9 others are still missing.
Now, despite the avalanche risk, the snow in the western United States, it's mostly a good thing. Meteorologist Chris Michaels explains why in today's Ask the Meteorologist.
So we'll start you out with the bad news, obviously being that avalanche risk that has come to fruition. A lot of times that'll happen when you get fresh snow that's fallen on top of a compacted snow base. So that newer snowpack can become unstable. And then there's a multitude of other factors that come into play, one of which could be extreme wind, other man-made factors, the slope, things like that. Now, a lot of snow that's still yet to come for the Sierra Nevada. They're still looking at multiple feet of snow. Good news for the business and the ski resorts out there, and good news for the water supply in other parts of the Rockies, specifically in Utah and in Colorado. But hey, even in the Sierra Nevada, UC Berkeley's Central Sierra Snow Lab says they're about 4 feet below normal for the season. And it's not just them, it's really much of the western U.S. Look at Denver, has hit 60 degrees 35 times this winter. That's more than double what we have so far. So roles have sort of been reversed. And then there's Salt Lake City, which continues to see the decline in snowfall over the course of the winter. Now, could that play a role in the 2034 Winter Olympic Games set to be held in Salt Lake City? Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has a special report on just that topic tonight at 6 p.m.
You know, Elizabeth, I think it's timely that you're doing that because I know the International Olympic Committee, they're talking about possibly having to move future Winter Olympic Games because of climate change.
That's right. That, and not only moving them to different locations, but different times of the year. So maybe moving it into January instead of February because it's usually colder in January. And a lot of them are having to make snow now. So it was pretty interesting to do the research for what would happen in Salt Lake City if they have another snow drought like they're seeing right now. So tune in at 6 o'clock this evening. This is a live look at RDU. We have a lot of cloud cover out there right now, and it's likely that we'll be cloudy for the rest of the day today, and that we really may not see much sunshine until maybe late on Sunday. So we have a very gray forecast for the next several days. Not too cold though. 66 is our temperature. Will likely climb to 68 this afternoon, and it's breezy. We have southwest wind at 16 miles per hour, and it's a little bit gusty too. We're going to see winds gusting through the afternoon at about 20 to 25 miles per hour. So it's again moving around out there quite a bit. It's nice and mild though. 65 in Apex and 65 in Holly Springs, 66 in Morrisville, 64 degrees in Knightdale and in Garner. So it feels comfortable out there. Our eastern counties in particular are noticeably warmer than this time yesterday. Up to the north and west, the difference isn't so dramatic, but we ended up in the low 60s yesterday, and we'll see highs in the upper 60s for this afternoon. Looking at 68 in Raleigh, 67 Durham, and 72 in Fayetteville with mostly cloudy skies. It wouldn't be out of the question to see like a peak of sunshine, but I don't think we'll see much of it. It's a definite taste of spring. Our normal high for today is 56. So 70 tomorrow and 75 on Friday. 75 on Friday could end up tying the record at RDU. And then gradually we're going to step back down closer to normal by Sunday. And Sunday will be on the cloudy side with a chance of a shower. Near record highs, as I mentioned, for tomorrow at Raleigh. A record high 75 set back in 1939. And then in Fayetteville, 79 for the forecast tomorrow. Will be close, but we may not quite make it. 82 is the previous record set back in 2014. Let's talk about what is happening with our weather for tomorrow. We start to move into that wetter pattern. We'll see a warm front in our vicinity just to the north, so that's where we'll likely have the best chance of rain. We could see some of that overnight tonight, early tomorrow, and it doesn't look like very much rain at all for us on Thursday. Friday, a cold front gets a bit closer to us. There's a small chance of a thunderstorm, most likely right in the afternoon, maybe just after lunchtime. Looks like the timing on that. The models have not shown a whole lot of rain with this either. So it looks, like both tomorrow and Friday could be on the lighter side with the rain. But then the front stalls and a wave develops upon it, and it may be that we see more rain on Saturday than either of those days. And then gradually that starts to pull out. We should begin to dry out maybe in the afternoon on Sunday. But of course, that's days away, and the timing of this could change. So keep checking back. Outdoor plans over the weekend, we put yellow, a little iffy for each day, just because we'll have some time periods where it could be wet, and as we get closer to the weekend, we'll have a better idea of exactly what time. But it's likely to be afternoon Saturday into the morning Sunday. Once that front moves through, it gets colder again. Overnight lows are at and below freezing, and our afternoon highs are in the 40s. Now, with 3 or 4 days of rain, you would think we might see a lot, and I'll show you how much it may be coming up.
Elizabeth, thank you. Pushing for change. Durham has already seen a violent week with nearly 5 shootings since last Wednesday. Today on WRAL News at 4, what Mayor Leo Williams is calling on the community to do to help stop this.
And a new leading cause of death. More people are dying in the workplace here in North Carolina. Today on WRAL News at 5:30, the new initiative in the state to crack down on unsafe warehouses and factories. During your upcoming spring cleaning, you can add the air indoors to your list. 5 on your sides, Ashley Rowe explains how you can reduce indoor air pollution and still have money left over.
Air pollution isn't just an outside problem. Consumer Reports says the air inside our homes might not be as clean as we think.
So there are all kinds of contaminants that originate from inside, like those from cooking, from pet dander, even cleaning products that you use. So all of that adds up, is especially problematic for people with respiratory issues like asthma, and even pets can suffer.
Here are some things you can do. On milder days, open the windows to allow airflow. Avoid indoor smoke sources like candles, incense, and wood fires. Run your exhaust fans in the kitchen to remove cooking fumes and in bathrooms to remove steam. If you have a forced air heating system, be sure to change the air filters every year or more frequently, according to the manufacturer instructions. Vacuum and dust often, especially if you have pets. For additional help, consider an air purifier.
Air purifiers alone won't remove.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Today, state lawmakers are talking about potential ways to lower your property taxes.
WRAL's Ken Smith is here now with the major takeaways so far from today's discussion at the legislative building. Ken.
And Chris, when you say property taxes, that gets people's attention because homeowners, we all have to pay that bill, right? And when there's talk of lowering those property taxes, people are even more in tune because, as we've reported, property taxes have continued to go up here in the Triangle. Well, some of the factors state lawmakers have to consider include adjustments to federal programs like SNAP, Medicaid, and FEMA could increase expenses at the local level. Now, keep in mind, property taxes are set on the county level, which funds schools, parks, public safety, and other local services. All that said, people who study these issues for a living told lawmakers today reducing property taxes could strain already tight budgets.
These are real dollars and real impacts that our local governments are currently thinking about and how they're going to cope with them.
Well, this is an ongoing comprehensive discussion that has some lawmakers wondering whether they should or even can step in to help to lower this tax burden for homeowners. Now, for more real-time updates on what lawmakers are discussing about this issue today, check out our coverage at the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com.
And happening now here in the WRAL Live Center this noon, the family of Reverend Jesse Jackson held a press conference this morning in Chicago reflecting on
the pandemic back in 2020 changed the career trajectory for our teacher of the week, who was working in New York at the time in events planning.
Well, she eventually made her way back to here in North Carolina and discovered her love for teaching and eventually landed at Davis Drive Middle School.
Why do you think authors make illusions?
Emery Fender found she enjoyed working with children after she lost her job in New York when COVID hit back in 2020.
What is so important to Liddy?
That experience brought her back home to Buncombe County, where she landed a job as a teacher assistant and discovered something about herself.
Oh, I really like this. I really like the kids. I really like working in education. This is really fulfilling.
Now, in her 4th year as an English language arts teacher in Wake County, Ms. Fender says teaching is everything to her, and central to that dedication, her students.
Sometimes I worry it's become my whole personality, but I really love working with the kids, and I love getting to engage with challenging materials and have those difficult conversations.
Liddy sees herself in Oliver Twist.
Ms. Fender says each day she values the literary journey with her students and creating meaningful learning experiences. She says, though, the toughest part for her is saying goodbye at the end of the school year.
You pour all of your love into them for a year, and then you watch them leave. And
it's hard to say goodbye.
It's hard to say goodbye.
Miss Fender, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week.
Wow.
Give her a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Love to see it, Ms. Fender. And if you would like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
The good and the bad of a powerful snowstorm out west.
Trying to go for a walk. It's about waist deep. Winter is back.
Why it's a case of feast or famine for residents and tourists in Northern California.
Plus, seeking mental health help from AI. Some are turning to chatbots for digital therapy. Why this growing trend, though, is starting a debate. In California, there is a time-sensitive search for a group of skiers buried in an avalanche. Meanwhile, firefighters are battling several wildfires in Oklahoma and Kansas. Here's NBC's Morgan Chesky.
This morning, a massive winter storm causing whiteout conditions out west. An urgent search and rescue operation underway in the Sierra after a terrifying avalanche buried multiple backcountry skiers.
Reported as 9 to 10 people buried, 3 others attempting to dig them out.
Overnight, first responders rescuing 6 people stranded on the mountain, but they're still searching for 9 more still missing. The sheriff telling NBC News the group included tour guides and skiers heading out on their last day of a trip.
This was a very well prepared group. They just came across a very tragic incident.
Wild weather causing chaos across the country, from snow to flames. In Oklahoma, raging wildfires forcing thousands to evacuate their homes. Emergency crews working round the clock to put out the fires that have already burned more than 15,000 acres. The flames also closing roads, racing across state lines. Roads also treacherous from the winter storms further west. In Colorado, a multi-vehicle pileup left 4 people dead and dozens more hospitalized.
Look at that.
After severe wind-blown dust impacted visibility. Blizzard-like conditions causing cars and semi-trucks to spin out, closing down nearly 150 miles of freeways on the West Coast.
The wind was blowing sideways, so you couldn't see like 25 feet past in front of your car.
And people in Northern California woke up to near whiteout conditions after that massive winter storm.
Oh boy, this is the real deal. Real deal, kids. Look at this.
Law enforcement closed major freeways in the mountains after multiple spinouts. Tens of thousands of people left without power. The Red Cross opened a shelter to help people hit by the outages. Schools are closed today, and a winter storm warning remains active through tomorrow night for Northern California.
Oh, boy, the West just can't catch a break there. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is talking a little bit about weather, but specifically, you're talking about what's happening with the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, so it's interesting because they've had a real drought across the mountains of the West so far, and now they're getting just really hammered across parts of the West, especially California. But Salt Lake City has had a real snow drought so far this year, and they're lined up next to host the, well, not next, but they're lined up to host the Olympics in 2034. And so they're wondering what would happen if they ended up with a snow drought like they're seeing this winter. Coming up at 6 o'clock, I'll take a look at what the plan would be and if it's feasible. So make sure you tune in tonight, again, at 6 o'clock. It's been an interesting winter for a lot of folks out west. Very different from what we've seen here. We've had a cold, relatively snowy winter, and so far, up until right now, they've had a very dry winter. But of course, California is seeing that all change over the last 3 or 4 days. And again, that's going to continue for another day or so. Here comes our cold front. Out ahead of the front, we have a southwesterly flow that's brought some nice mild conditions, but we do have a lot of cloud cover associated with this. We're going to take a look at our chances for rain as we get through the next several days. This is the current system that's affecting folks back out to the west. And finally, it looks like Salt Lake City will end up getting some snow out of this, and the Colorado Rockies and of course California has been hit very hard by this. So the cold front continues to slide eastward. By tomorrow, we'll have a small chance for rain. It'll mostly be along and north of the Virginia line. And then on Friday, the cold front gets closer to us. The models have been really back and forth about how much rain we could see. Up until the last run or two, it looked like we would have a nice band of rain that comes through, maybe even a few thunderstorms. Some of the models are beginning to back off on that a little bit. But then the low pressure system stalls and helps to feed more moisture in. As that sits here, we may end up with a little better chance for some rain on Saturday, and then it slowly moves out on Sunday. This is a look at Futurecast, the high-resolution model, and you can see early tomorrow morning some rain mainly near the Virginia line, and then right around the afternoon to around 3 or 4 o'clock, a few just stray showers pop up. We may even see a little bit of sunshine by tomorrow afternoon, but in general, it's going to be a fairly cloudy period all the way through Sunday. Severe weather threat back to the west, especially across parts of the Midwest. This is a level 2 risk, and so there could be some isolated tornadoes there. We haven't seen much of that. It's really been just winter weather for a good bit of the country. What about us for Friday? We won't have very much fuel for this system. We do have a small chance for thunderstorms in the afternoon on Friday, maybe right after lunchtime, but it won't be enough for severe weather, at least this time. That's not the way it looks. So watching Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in particular for that chance of rain. What we see Thursday is likely to be fairly light, but the models are not excited about us seeing a whole lot of rain no matter what out of this system, somewhere between ½ an inch and an inch. And for reference, last Sunday when we had that all-day rain, it ended up being sort of either side of an inch, depending on where you were. Of course, it's nice and mild, 68 for this afternoon, 70 Thursday, 75 Friday, and then over the weekend, gradually we see the temperatures dropping, and winter is back by early next week, highs in the upper 40s and overnight lows down below freezing again. It's not over yet.
No.
Quite the drop there. All right, Elizabeth. Eagle-eyed officers to the rescue. How some police officers saved a bird in distress, but this wasn't just any bird.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that we're following today. The man accused of killing a Moore County woman and leaving her body in a remote area will appear in court today. James Dunmore was arrested August 2023, and his girlfriend at the time was Alicia Watts. She was missing for more than a month before her body was found in Montgomery County. That was about 20 minutes away from her home. Our teams are in court right now, and we are currently going to bring you latest information on air and online on WRAL.com.
Police are investigating after gunfire hit 2 homes and vehicles in northeast Raleigh. This happened around 5 this morning on the 3500 block off Streams of Fields Drive. This is off Trawick Road. Police say luckily no one was hurt. As of now, no arrests have been made.
Tonight, the Granville County Sheriff's Office is hosting a prayer vigil for the people involved in a shooting last month in Stovall. This will be at the Corey's Used Tires on US 15 at 6:30 p.m. Tonight's vigil will honor the life of Ryan Ellington. Back on January 9th, deputies responded to the shooting at the Family Dollar on US 15. Ellington died there at that scene. 19-year-old Aiden Moss was charged with first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder in that shooting.
AI tools can be used for almost everything. Can it be a valuable tool for mental health? Most Americans are using AI chatbots to ask about everyday tasks, but a growing number of people are now turning to chatbots when they need someone to talk to. Licensed therapists are naturally concerned, but those who've tried it do see some benefits.
A lot of people, they don't feel comfortable to sit with a person and tell their darkest secrets. It's honestly a safe, private space where you can just, dump your thoughts and dump your feelings without feeling judged.
Chat is going to give you what you want to hear and maybe a better iteration of it, even a clearer iteration, and that's great. But you're not going to go deeper.
Now, if you or someone you know is in crisis, dial 988 to reach the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. You can also find county-by-county mental health support resources on WRAL.com/gethelp.
New York police officers brought the heat to rescue a bald eagle stranded on a slab of ice. See right here, body camera footage showing officers arriving at that scene on the Hudson River. Well, the eagle was crying out in distress and was bleeding from its claw. Officers used a catch pole, though, to catch that bird and bring it to safety. The bald eagle is now recovering at an animal sanctuary in Jersey.
They did good work that day. A new cat is in town. Meet Phantom here, a sleek 1-year-old black cat with brilliant beaming eyes and a playful streak you cannot resist. He's always ready to chase a toy or settle in for some cuddle time with family and friends. Phantom's vibrant personality sets him apart from your average house cat. So if you're looking for a friend to brighten your home and heart, contact Cat Angels NC.
The technology behind Olympic uniforms. What these winter athletes are performing in are made up of many materials. So today on WRAL News at 4, an NC State expert weighs in on the art and the creativity that it takes to make these outfits.
Make some time to get outdoors today. We'll be in the upper 60s and we'll stay warm the rest of the week. But the other days, we could have a chance for rain. So today, it'll stay dry. So get on out.
Yeah, enjoy it while you can. You can, of course, remember to get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Hope you have a blessed day today.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.